Schneider. Oh, there, that's not it. I'm Tammy Schneider, and I am the Dean of the School of Arts and Humanities at Claremont Graduate University, and it is my great honor to welcome you this evening. This is one of those rare occasions where it is categorically good to be the Dean. Tonight, I am honored to introduce an evening, which is whoa, that's really loud now. A combination of visual art with poetry, which in my mind is always a great mix. Presently in our galleries is an exhibit of 3 Chinese artists who came for our first year of what we hope will be an annual Pacific Artist Series. 3 artists shipped their work to Claremont, which, by the way, was no small task, getting it out and getting it out of customs. They set it up in less than 4 hours. They had a day where they talked about their inspiration for their work and how they developed their art. And then they met with our students in their studios. I think all of our studios met at least 2 of them in their studios to talk about their own art. So it was a fabulous week. And in the spring, 3 of our faculty will go to China and have an exhibit and do the same. So hopefully this is something that will continue, so please enjoy the work that you see. But the focal point tonight is on our poets, who will be reading shortly. The Kingsley and Kate Poetry Award means that those of us associated with Claremont Graduate University in any way benefit from having some of the greatest poets in the United States come to our fair, poetry-loving city for a few days in the spring and a full week in the fall to revel in both poetry readings and, for those of us who attend many to most of the events, we are allowed to meet and become enriched by people who can do things with words that most of us can only imagine. Of course, we can also read it in their books, which are for sale outside. Those of us at CGU who are lucky to benefit from amazing students, those of us at CGU are also lucky to benefit from amazing students who do things like publish the Foothill Journal, a volume of poetry and art published every year. The Foothill Journal is student-inspired, student-implemented, and student-edited, and it is our students who should receive our thanks. So could the editorial board wave their hands and jump around? And if I am not mistaken, Adrian, it's your art that's on the cover of the, and also in this hallway. So thank you. So yay, CGU students. Tonight is sure to be a great event because we will hear from Nikia Chaney, who is also the Poet Laureate of the Inland Empire. Go Inland Empire! Hot take that, LA. And Ross Gay, the 24th winner of the Kingsley Tufts Poetry Award. All right, all week I have been bragging that I have been basking in Ross Gay's aura, something I am pretty sure all of you will understand by the end of this evening. The names of his award-winning book captures much of what those of us who have spent time with him this week have received, a catalog of unabashed gratitude. I think a new volume of his will soon be named something along the lines of, and you just told me and I spaced on it, 100 Delights? The Book of Delights, I think you said 100. The Book of Delights, which I think is also an appropriate summary of his week here. While I have not yet had the pleasure of hearing Nikia Chaney read, I think a motto from her website well leads us to what she is about to do for us: live, learn, write, teach, do. So Kevin Reel, if you may, he is one of the originators of the Foothill Journal and a continuing editor of the Foothill Journal, and he will introduce the next phase.
Thanks, Tammy, and thanks to all of you for coming out in such numbers. I really appreciate it. So tonight we celebrate the close of Ross's amazing week in residency, and we really appreciate his generosity this whole week. But we also celebrate the publication of our newest issue of Foothill, which it's our 8th. We're really proud of it. And I wanted to quickly say thanks to Dean Tammy Schneider, Tufts Director, and Professor Lorianne Farrell, and the entire School of Arts and Humanities for continuing to support our humble project through all these years. And I also want to say thanks to all the graduate students who worked tirelessly on the journal throughout the year. And these are students who have all kinds of demands and requirements placed on them, and I really appreciate all your hard work, so kudos to you guys. Thanks also to the Art Department for hosting us for the 5th consecutive year. This is always like sort of our capstone event, and we really appreciate and hope this will continue for a long time. On the subject of art, I'm hoping that everyone at least got a chance to look at what's going on in these 2 galleries, but there's also a lot of work around the corner that's connected to this show, but also our artist Adrienne Devine, who shared such moving and powerful work. She has another installation around the corner, so please check that out afterwards. Okay, so enough of me, on to the reading. Nikia, this is her 2nd time reading for us, and she's amazing. The poem that we published of hers is, I think, continues. It's one of our all-time favorites. So Nikia Chaney is an Inland Empire poet and author of 2 chapbooks, Sis Fuss, 2012, Orange Monkey Publishing, and Ladies Please, 2012, Dancing Girl Press. Her manuscript, Bite Down Hum, was the winner of the Marsh Hawk Robert Creeley Award in 2015. She is founding editor of Shuff Poetry, an online journal for experimental poetry, and founding editor of Jamie Publishing, a publishing imprint dedicated to fostering community among poets and writers. She has won grants and fellowships from the Barbara Demings Fund for Women, Poets and Writers, Squaw Valley, and Cave Canem. She teaches at San Bernardino Valley College and Chaffey College, and as Tammy alluded to, she was recently appointed the Inlandia Institute's Inlandia Literary Laureate. So join me in congratulating and welcoming Nikia Chaney.
Okay, I'm short, so this always, the microphone struggle. I got it. Can you guys hear me okay? Yeah? This is awesome. This is absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for inviting me. Like I said, I live San Bernardino, so I live a little bit away, but I am so stoked to be here with Ross Gay and here in this beautiful place. Oh my God. So just want to thank you guys before I start, okay? So the first poem that I'm going to read is in Foothill Journal. That's the one that Kevin was talking about. Yeah, you guys were like, what poem is he talking about? So we get to hear it, right? Let's hear it. All righty. Chocolate Jesus. Chocolate Jesus wants you to stand up and make your voice into something because Chocolate Jesus is pointing to you. Chocolate Jesus with his red flag and his black braids, his in rhymes, his member discounted 50% off upgrades, and his bottom chair folkers who uphold the quo. Love him, make him love us so. Some Chocolate Jesus. Chocolate Jesus is a symbol, no symphony, no, a sweet standing story. He wants you, he needs you to get out on the street and work until your gold honey pot, your car note, your monthly check, your economy falls from the sky and little green wrappers for sweet chocolate Jesus, sweet Jesus. Chocolate Jesus wants you to hold signs because he is so sexy up there. He's got that soft voice and he's talking right. Let's all vote. Let's all jump aboard for the ride, this version of the high, this, oh, can I have your number, Chocolate Jesus? Mr. Politician, Mr. Don Man, Cog Meal, Mr. Ice Cream, Mr. Just get me out of this, for even though you never said you wasn't, you was, you chocolate, you Jesus, you. Chocolate Jesus is a maker. Meet a need to believe in me, some chocolate Jesus, because chocolate Jesus is him, like Malcolm, like pimp daddy hustler, like chocolate politician, like soldier enough for this strangling, stumbling civility. Chocolate Jesus, captain of the mothership. Mother, don't we wish him Jesus, him bittersweet, him look pretty, him sweet smile. That's a fun poem. That's a fun poem. Okay, so this one's very new, and it just sort of speaks to what's been happening this past year. Must have been. My father must have been a boy. I talked to his mother once when he died. I was 19 and on the phone, her voice dripped down, acidic and plump and sweet, as if she really knew me as his child. I saw her stooped soft with plate, with wine, with touch, and I questioned what she said she saw of her boy in the picture I had sent, his nose, his coloring, the nightmare he had at 3 when his baby shrill screaming had not yet turned to the quiet thunder of his speak. Last night, in the dark of early morning, I felt like clapping. When we hung up the phone, this woman and I, my mother's father, must have been a black boy, a black little boy. This would have been Tennessee, where boys' limbs and skin fed sugarcane, or the unyielding ideas of property. My mother telling me that this boy, her father, was not one that she could possibly know. Those men who danced and drank down women with his teeth. And he gave my sister his green eyes in some genetic stratifying scheme. I don't know the names of trees. All this forest around me, the exact same sapling, the applause, the ripped palms, the hardness of palms, the hairiness, then the shocking smoothness of back. These men, yet I still find the best way to describe here the makeup of sugar pine, or the way aspen habits its way into growth are the reason why I cannot roll my tongue answered, sorted information to reach out to or search for or not find. I wish I could have been, must have been a black boy growing up by some unspoken agreement. I was the kin doll when we played. The plastic's hardness, his blonde fro, more familiar to me than my own soft face and my own ability to hide. This lesson that I learned that men must have learned, the combination and transformation of limbs to barks to screams. And when I learned that black boys are so unknowing, unknowable, unneed, I changed my mind. I hold here on my lap this little black boy who came out of my own body. I put his arm deep into the forest dirt, wash his back and his teeth and his feet with needle-like leaves, name him, scream his name into the dim green silence so loud because I need him to speak and turn to me and not ask me, Mama, when, who, when. You know, I didn't know how long I had up here, so about 2 more, I think, and then we can get to Rasque. Is that okay, you guys? Everybody's okay with that? Okay. Diplomatic, right? Diplomatic. This is a fun little poem. This is fairly new, too. Let me in. Good peoples, ladies and young foolish boys, skirted gentle human beings, invite me in. The wooden porch is cracked with sweat and time, and my goodness, my knees are damp, my knees are slick and splintered, blinking something like thin hatred at me. The door touching my palm is like a kiss, a village vision, water sunned warm. Invite me to soup and brown bread torn in two, passed about the young table. This girl washing down, stealing crumbs from plates and fingers in the pie pan, swirling with bliss, the rim and my arms all shaky. Let me in. I've seen a tree made of human hands wrapped clean to the age rings, leaves curling in an old boxer's red throne. I've seen rivers of faces marching by me, the turn of one wave, a seeking eye threatening violence or brute kindness or what, I don't know. I have only these joints left. Let me in, this young tendon stretched. I sold everything, my bag full of stars, my skin, always my skin to draw each beast forward to nod. Once I pulled up a small child from the muck and she bit me right here, too busy gumming to mind this old scar. Let me in and open this wall, you damn pilgrims. Young men, have mercy and part your gold blue sea. Don't you know it's rude? Don't you know it's cruel? I can see you, fisted and forked like a fiend. I can smell the grease. I can smell it frying, spice burning, young meat, and good Lord, I finally give. I need. Okay, one last poem, you guys. Would be nice if I was organized, right? Okay, so our last poem, As If We Could Feel Ourselves. We keep kiss-feeding each other our lives, lime yellow cheeks all swollen, lips, lids lowered, half-cornered torsos, and tempers that sway silent, hushed we swallow false arousals and make ourselves shift to be surrounded by glassy sponge and bone, a one and one in reverie, a wise broken tendency that cups and persists this taste like a myth or a musician implied with the obedience of a puppeteer. We drape my longest skirt on the table, set vase and fork, flinch as the roughness of my elbow brushes past your hair, hunger, and just a hint of shyness here, a singular weight making me know you know it too. A pendulum that pierces the mirror and means you are not my lover, but my friend, an open text scraped across my back, painted with saliva as I open your mouth and reach in. And I think of the ground, the fickle shadows, the fatigue, all those old memories that stretch the grain and pull you to me when I let you be, like salt rubbing my brown web, like pinches of gold, like trails of spit from my mouth. Thank you.
I think you're the Inland Empress. Wouldn't that make you? That was wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm Lori Ann Farrell, the director of the Kingsley and Kate Tufts Poetry Awards. And I want to echo Tammy's welcome to everybody. And also, in some sense, recite my own unpoetic catalog of gratitude tonight. First two, actually, Tammy Schneider, our dean, for her support and her enthusiasm for poets and poetry here at CGU. It's wonderful to work with you on these things. And to Genevieve Kaplan, who is our coordinator and who does everything and does it right. So I want to give her a round of applause right now. And to the usual gang of artists and brainiacs at Foothill Journal, for being the coolest kids in the school. It's a wonderful party you throw for us these Friday nights. And I want to thank Ross Gay, whose week here has been an unparalleled pleasure and a real joy. It's wonderful that we bring our winners out for a week because we don't really get to know them when they come for the award ceremony itself. It's a lot of agita and lots of excitement, and it's really quite wonderful, and then they leave and we don't know what hit us. We bring them back for a week and we get to know them a little better, and it's wonderful. This is what I already knew about Ross Gay before he got here this week. He was a community gardener. He was a prize-winning poet, and not just our prize, National Book Critics Award, and the National Book Award finalist for Catalog of Unabashed Gratitude, the book that also won the Kingsley Tufts Poetry Award, the 24th that we've awarded since these awards began. Now, after a week, I can tell you a little bit more about Ross, at least the things I think he's all right with me telling. He's a beer-drinking vegan. He is an amazing reader out louder, and that's a talent that is, shared by the person who shared his dais tonight, but can be rare. He has excellent company. I would call him a mensch. And the thing that I learned that rocked me back on my heels the most was one of his favorite poets is Gerard Manley Hopkins. Now here's the thing. Don't throw things at me. I'm on record for saying I can't stand Gerard Manley Hopkins. I know, right? So after I heard this, I went home, and I have to say, I lost some sleep over it. And then I thought about it for a while, and I pulled some stuff up from undergraduate and thought, yeah, somebody who can write the lines that I love, thank you, what in us rackets glad, what glad rackets us, right? Yeah, I understand why he loves something that begins, I caught this morning's minion, right? And so I went back, and while I won't say I fell in love with Gerard Manley Hopkins, I realized that before I wasn't old enough to read Gerard Manley Hopkins. And then I thought, we all say that great poets make us see the world differently. We say that because it's a cliche, and it's a cliche because it's true. But Ross made me realize that great poets make us read other people's poems differently. We see them with new eyes. And I have to thank you for that, Ross. I'm extremely grateful. So please join me in both gratitude and in welcoming the 24th winner of the Kingsley Tufts Poetry Award, Ross Gay.
Hey, everyone. That's great. I love that. I totally forgot that, the Hopkins thing, yeah. That's great. So are you all comfortable standing? Because there are seats here on this cool cement floor. And a few chairs. One that has a sticker that says reserved Ross Gay on it. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of nice if you're close, then we can be closer. I thought this might happen. Yep. Okay, it's great to be here. Goddamn, I've had so much fun. And moving fun. I've been moved again and again and again. Having these conversations in all these different spaces around here. Lorianne, a conversation about how literature and the love of literature and the love that sort of is in literature and poetry saves people, maybe including all of us. Potentially. Big ass conversations, and, the conversations I had with people at Laverne, so good. Someone said to me it was the best thing maybe anyone's ever said about my poems. Issa's her name. Issa said, you know the movie House Party? And I said, yeah, I haven't seen it in a while, but I know it. And Issa said, I was like, Issa said, your poems remind me of the dancing in that movie. And that might not mean anything to you, but that means everything to me. So anyway, it's just been incredible being here. Beyond talking. So I'll stop talking and I'll read. So I'm writing this book called The 100 Delights now, since you, but whatever, they're just little delights. Someone called them essayettes, so I'm yeah, no, essayettes. So now that you said 100, I'll say, maybe 100 will come. But they're little delights, and I wrote 2 while I was here, so I'm gonna read those to you. So this reading will be two delights in a catalog. Hummingbird. This is so new. I wrote it yesterday. Yeah. Today, as I was walking down Foothill, is that right? Foothill? Boulevard. To do, this is I'll revise while to do laundry. The laundromat, one of my delights. Not quite the democratic space of the post office or public library, but still delightful. A hummingbird buzzed past me and alighted in a mostly dead tree, poking almost up to the power line. The bird sat on the spindly little branch that bounced in the breeze, twisting its little head and big proboscis this way and that, but mostly just standing still, looking out over the little traffic jam on the far side of the street. That's funny, I don't know what the bird was looking at. Not moving, even as I got almost directly beneath the thing. I've never seen one sitting still like that for so long, so in the open. While I'm writing this, sitting on the curb, a young woman, a kid, walked by wearing a kind of cat hat, winter hat with pointy ears. It's about 88 today. And she was walking a mini Doberman Pinscher with pink booties skitching across the asphalt. Although my partner thinks the hummingbird might be my, so I have these long, sort of parenthetical digressions, so sometimes I don't even know how to follow them yet. Although my partner thinks the hummingbird might be my totem animal, there goes cat hat and doggy slippers again, given how the birds seem to follow me around. Once I saw a hummingbird perusing the red impatiens outside my building at school, and I walked slowly over to the planting, plucked one, holding it in my outstretched hand, perfectly still, long enough that at least one student walking my way crossed the street so as not to get too close to me. Until the little bird did in fact dip its face into the meager sweet in my hand. And another time I was visiting with a woman who I'd met at a reading in Berkeley who wanted to show me her garden. That's not a euphemism. Her actual garden. And after we walked through it, lots of flowers, a few fruit trees, beehives, beautiful, we sat down on the deck overlooking the actual garden, where she got around to telling me about a friend of hers whose husband was ill and encouraged her to take other lovers if she wanted, which she did, want and take. How's it going for her, I asked. And before my host could respond, a hummingbird buzzed by, almost ruffling her long gray hair, and dipped its beak in neck deep to the honeysuckle just behind my new friend's head, its wings almost moaning, the nearly audible sound of slurping as the bird pushed its head in and out of the little temple of the flower, at which she said, smiling a little, I think it's going pretty good. And this one is called But Maybe. We'll see how these titles turn out. The other day I was driving with my partner Stephanie back to our beautiful, ugly little house, and I said, imitating someone's disdain for something, whoop-de-doo. She said, whoop-de-doo, good or bad? I said, whoop-de-doo is bad. She said, always? I said, always. Whoop-de-doo is always bad. She said, are you sure? I said, oh, I'm sure. She said, you're telling me whoop-de-doo is never good. I said, I guess I can't say for sure. Certainly it delights me, this is an honest conversation we had. It was longer than that though. Certainly it delights me when someone, especially someone other than dear Stephanie, alerts me to a significant possible crack in the foundations of my knowledge, lexical or otherwise. The delight might come down the road a ways, as this one did, both for the fisher and for the attitude of illumination and possibility that exposed it. I had a roommate and friend who, after I was exasperated with the shitty television programming that wasn't college basketball, told me, you could just change your mind. For I'm pretty goddamn sure whoop-de-doo always means something like big shit. But even that phrase of dismissal and contempt now is thrown into doubt. So obvious is it that the veneer of irony might easily be peeled from it. Big shit meaning, wow, I mean. A dismissive phrase my mother discharges like she's getting paid to do it is la-di-da. She usually says it about people who have money. You know? La-di-da. Meaning, she probably said it after I won this prize. La-di-da. Meaning something like, aren't your britches big? Which, yes, thinking a little bit about it, could be good. Big britches indicating prosperity and weather readiness. Not to mention the Slick Rick and Dougie Fresh song, which every day in the 6th grade we sang, Antonio making the beat on the green vinyl seats, his little brother Mike next to him, me and Maurice and Kamara nearby, all singing or screaming, driving the driver surely crazy, la-di-da-di. All the big shit 12-year-olds conducting all the little squirts with their big britches, la-di-da, whoop-de-doo. It was delightful. Do you all know that song, La Di Da Di? Some people. Okay, yeah, some of us do. Oh, God, that is a good song. So this is the title poem of this book. If you heard me read it 8 times this week, I'm sorry. Okay. I will tell you 2 things. One is that this orchard that people maybe mentioned, that people, Tammy mentioned earlier, is in this book. And also, thank you so much for taking such good care. It's been so good to be here. And Genevieve, so nice of you, driving me everywhere, texting me when I was 5 minutes late. It's like kindness on top of kindness. Anyway, there's an orchard in here. It's a real orchard in Bloomington. You should go there. That's Indiana. It's a state between Illinois and Ohio. Yeah, it's just this beautiful project, like a volunteer, like civic curiosity project built of love. The other thing is that there's this kid named Era Lee. Era Lee is now like a 3-year-old kid. Era Lee used to be an idea. Okay. Friends, it's called Catalog of Unabashed Gratitude. Friends, will you bear with me today, for I have awakened from a dream in which a robin made with its shabby wings a kind of veil behind which it shimmied and stomped something from the south of Spain. Its breast aflare, looking me dead in the eye from the branch that grew into my window, coochie-cooing my chin. The little bird shuffling its little talons left, then right, while the leaves bristled against the plaster wall, 2 of them drifting onto my blanket, while the bird opened and closed its wings like a matador giving up on murder. Jutting its beak, turning a circle, and flashing again the ruddy bombast of its breast, by which I knew upon waking it was telling me in no uncertain terms to bellow forth the tubas and sousaphones, the whole rusty brass band of gratitude not quite dormant in my belly. It said so in a human voice. Bellow forth. And who among us could ignore such odd and precise counsel? Hear ye, I am here to holler that I have hauled tons, by which I don't mean lots, I mean tons, of cow shit, and stood ankle deep in swales of maggots swirling the spent beer grains the brewery man was good enough to dump off, holding his nose, for they smell very bad, but make the compost writhe giddy and lick its lips, twirling dung with my pitchfork again and again. With hundreds and hundreds of other people, we dreamt an orchard this way, furrowing our brows and hauling our wheelbarrows and sweating through our shirts. And less than a year later, there was a party at which trees were sunk into the well-fed earth, one of which, a Liberty apple, after being watered in, was tamped by a baby barefoot with a bow hanging in her hair, biting her lip in her joyous work. And friends, this is the realest place I know. It makes me squirm like a worm. I am so grateful. You could ride your bike there, or roller skate, or catch the bus. There's a fence and a gate twisted by hand. There's a fig tree taller than you in Indiana. It will make you gasp. It might make you want to stay alive even. Thank you. And thank you for not taking my pal when the engine of his mind dragged him to swig fistfuls of Xanax and a bottle or 2 of booze. And thank you for taking my father a few years after his own father went down. Thank you, mercy, mercy. Thank you for not smoking meth with your mother. Oh, thank you. Thank you for leaving and for coming back. And thank you for what inside my friend's love bursts like a throng of roadside goldenrod gleaming into the world, likely hauling a shovel with her like one named Era Lee Ott, with hands big as a horse's, and who, like one named Era Lee Ott, will laugh time to time till the juice runs from her nose. Oh, thank you for the way a small thing's wail makes the milk, or what once was milk in us, gather into horses huckle-buckling across a field. And thank you, friends, when last spring the hyacinth bells rang and the crocuses flaunted their upturned skirts, and a quiet roved the beehive, which when I entered were snugged 2 or 3 dead fist-sized clutches of bees between the frames, almost clinging to one another. This one's tiny head pushed into another's tiny wing, one's forelegs resting on another's face, the translucent paper of their wings fluttering beneath my breath, and when a few dropped to the frames beneath, honey. And after falling down to cry, everything's glacial shine. And thank you, too. And thanks for the corduroy couch or the plastic seats we have put you on. Put your feet up. Here's a light blanket, a pillow, dear ones, for I think this is going to be long. I can't stop my gratitude, which includes, dear reader, you, for staying here with me, for moving your lips just so as I speak. Here is a cup of tea. I have spooned honey into it. And thank you, the tiny bee's shadow, perusing these words as I write them. And the way my love talks quietly when in the hive, so quietly, in fact, you cannot hear her, but only notice barely her lips moving in conversation. Thank you, what does not scare her in me, but makes her reach my way. Thank you, the love she is which hurts sometimes, and the time she misremembered elephants in one of my poems, which, oh, here they come. Garlanded with morning glory and wisteria blooms, trombones all the way down to the river. Thank you, the quiet in which the river bends around the elephant's solemn trunk, polishing stones, floating on its gentle back, the flock of geese flying overhead. And to the quick and gentle flocking of men, to the old lady falling down on the corner of Fairmount and 18th, holding patiently with the softest parts of their hands her cane and purple hat, gathering for her the contents of her purse and touching her elbow and shoulder. Thank you, too, the cockeyed basketball court on which, in a half-court 3-on-3, we old heads made of some runny-nosed kids a shambles. And the 61-year-old, after flipping a reverse layup off a backdoor cut from my no-look pass to seal the game, ripped off his shirt and threw punches at the gods and hollered at the kids to admire the pacemaker's scar grinning across his chest. Thank you, the glad accordion's wheeze in the chest. Thank you, the bagpipes. Thank you to the woman barefoot in a gaudy dress for stopping her car in the middle of the road, and the tractor trailer behind her, and the van behind it, whisking a turtle off the road. Thank you, God of Gaudy. Thank you, Paisley panties. Thank you, the organ up my dress. Thank you, the sheer dress you wore kneeling in my dream at the creek's edge and the light swimming through it. The coy kissing halos into the glassy air. The room in my mind with the blinds drawn where we nearly injure each other, crawling into the shawl of the other's body. Thank you, when I just say it plain, we fuck each other dumb. And you, again you, for the true kindness it has been for you to remain awake with me like this. Nodding time to time and making that noise, which I take to mean yes, or I understand, or please go on, but not too long, or why are you spitting so much, or easy, tiger, hands to yourself. I'm excitable. I'm sorry. I'm grateful. I just want us to be friends now, forever. Take this bowl of blackberries from the garden. The sun has made them warm. I picked them just for you. I promise I will try to stay on my side of the couch. And thank you, the baggie of dreadlocks I found in a drawer while washing and folding the clothes of our murdered friend. The photo in which his arms slung around the sign to the Trail of Silences. Thank you, the way before he died, he held his hands open to us. For coming back in a waft of incense or in the shape of a boy in another city looking from between his mother's legs, or disappearing into the stacks after brushing by. For moseying back in dreams where seeing us lost and scared, he put his hand on our shoulders and pointed us to the temple across town. And thank you to the man all night long, hosing a mist on his early bloomed peach trees so that the hard frost not waste the crop. The ice in his beard and the ghosts lifting from him when the warming sun told him, sleep now. Thank you, the ancestor who loved you before she knew you by smuggling seeds into her braid for the long journey. Who loved you before he knew you by putting a walnut tree in the ground. Who loved you before she knew you by not slaughtering the land. Thank you, who did not bulldoze the ancient grove of dates and olives. Who sailed his keys into the ocean and walked softly home. Who did not fire, 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 who did not plunge the head in the toilet, who said, stop, don't do that, who lifted some broken someone up, who volunteered. The way a plant birthed of the reseeding plant is called a volunteer, like the plum tree that marched beside the raised bed in my garden, like the arugula that marched itself between the blueberries, nary a bayonet, nary an army, nary a nation. Which usage of the word volunteer, familiar to gardeners the wide world made my pal shout, oh, and dance, and plunge his knuckles into the lush soil before gobbling 2 strawberries and digging a song from his guitar made of wood from a tree someone planted. Thank you. And thank you, Zinnia, and Gooseberry, Rudbeckia, and Paw Paw, Ashmead's Kernel, Coxcomb, and Scarlet Runner, Feverfew, and Lemon Balm. Thank you, Knitbone, and Sweetgrass, and Sunchoke, and False Indigo, whose petals stammered apart by bumblebees. Good Lord, please give me a minute. and Moonglow and Catkin and Crookneck and Painted Tongue and Seed Pod and Johnny Jump Up. Thank you, what in us rackets glad, what glad rackets us. And thank you to this knuckle-headed heart, this pelican heart, this gap-toothed heart flinging open its gaudy maw to the sky. Oh clumsy, oh bumblefucked, oh giddy, oh dumbstruck, oh rickshaw, oh goat, twisting its head at me from my peach tree's highest branch, balanced and possibly gobbling the last fruit, its tongue working like an engine, a lone sweet drop tumbling by some miracle into my mouth like the smell of someone I've loved. Heart like an elephant screaming at the bones of its dead. Heart like the lady on the bus dressed head to toe in gold, the sun shivering her shiny boots, singing Erykah Badu to herself, leaning her head against the window. And thank you the way my father one time came back in a dream by plucking the two cables beneath my chin like a bass fiddle strings and played me until I woke singing. No kidding, I was singing and smiling. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Stumbling into the garden where the Juneberry's flowers had burst open like the bells of French horns. The lily my mother and I planted oozed into the air. The bazillion ants labored in their earthen workshops below. The collard greens waved in the wind like the sails of ships, and the wasps swam in the mint bloom's viscous swill. And you, again you, for hanging tight, dear readers. I know I can be long-winded sometimes. I want so badly to rub the sponge of gratitude over every single thing, which includes you, which is awkward. The soap going down your shirt, under your glasses. Soon it will be over, which is precisely what the child in my dream said, holding my hand and pointing at the roiling sea and the sky hurtling our way like so many buffalo, who said, "It's much worse than we think." And sooner. To whom I said, "No duh, child in my dreams. What do you think this singing and shuddering is? What this screaming and reaching and dancing and crying is, other than loving what every second goes away? Goodbye, I mean to say. And thank you, every day. Thank you."
Lorianne said I have to say a closing remark. I guess I'll say, I told you so. Thank you. Stay, eat, drink, buy books, look at art, and be happy. And have gratitude, unabashedly.